My name is Mina Elias, founder of Trivium Group, which is an Amazon advertising agency. I started in the Amazon space in 2018. I came from a regular engineering background with a passion for supplements. I train MMA. I've been training since 2013. Wanted to create a supplement brand for myself. Failed miserably to get it into stores and gyms. Everyone turned me down. They would look at the supplement and say, okay, we'll let you know. And then they never let me know. I decided to get it on Amazon, and that was in 2018. 6 months later of obsession, I was able to make the product successful. It was about April 2019. I was doing about $4,000 a month in profit. That's when I was fired from my job, full-time, all in on the business. And then January 2020, so I don't know, what is that, 8 months later from that, I was doing about $94,000 a month in revenue. Continue to grow it. And then COVID hit, I started doing podcasts and webinars and stuff like that, which just like this, teaching people exactly how I did Amazon advertising. Started with like nothing, right? $500 on a credit card and built the brand up. Very, very competitive niche, which is electrolyte supplements. And it was all through like really good ads and being very granular with the data. So I shared everything. People loved it. The demand was very, very high for me to start an agency and run the ads for people. So I didn't want to do it. I thought I was going to build a $100 million supplement brand, but then an aggregator hired me to train their team on ads. That went really well. After 4 months, they're like, we love how you're doing things. You're better than the 6 other agencies that we hired. And that's when I realized I have a talent for this thing. And now we're here. We have about 66 or 67 team members, 138 brands under management, something like that. It's constantly changing. But yeah, I love what I do, and it gives me a lot of energy to educate people on the stuff that's working for us. I am very technical, so I'm going to try and keep it light on the technical side. Engineer is like in my blood. So what I'm going to cover today is analytics and how I think about ads. So in terms of analytics, most people, I realize, look at ACOS, they look at TACOS, they look at all of these different analytics. It's even funny when they look at analytics, they look at Campaign Manager. To me, this is a joke, right? Because it's like very, very incomplete data. And how can you look at like analytics on Campaign Manager when you don't see the sessions, which is the number of people coming into your listing, you don't see the conversion rate. And I learned all of this because I spent like $60,000 or $70,000 trying to make my brand, MMA Nutrition, work on direct-to-consumer. So I hired this freelancer, and I'm like, okay, let's make this work. $5K a month ad spend. I'm gonna pay him like another $3K a month. Let's see how it works. And so he's like, okay, cool. Here's the different creatives that we're gonna create and run ads on Facebook. We're gonna have these different headlines. So he's constantly split testing, different headlines, different creatives. And then he's like, here's the different landing pages. And then I started realizing the way that he's looking at things is he looks at things like from a top level. He launches the campaigns, and then they get impressions and a certain CPM and whatever. And a certain number of those impressions turn into sessions, people coming into the landing page. That was the click-through rate. And then a certain number of these sessions turned into a sale, which is the conversion rate, which is dependent on the landing page. And then I'm like, why don't I look at this stuff like that on Amazon and Amazon advertising? I'm looking at keyword ACOS, TACOS, all of these metrics, but it doesn't tell me anything about the funnel. And so then I started realizing, okay, what if I did start looking at those numbers? What if I started looking at okay, my ad spend is responsible for a certain number of sessions that come into my listing, and that is going to be dependent on the click-through rate. And then start looking at the factors that affect the click-through rate, like my main image, my price, number of reviews, my star rating. Because I can add $5,000 more a month in ad spend, but if I'm at a 4.2 star and I go and spend $5,000 a month trying to get reviews, and then I go to a 4.3 star, now for the exact same campaigns, I didn't touch anything. I went from a 0.4 click-through rate to a 0.7 click-through rate. I doubled my revenue or whatever. Okay, cool. So back to my story about working with this person in direct-to-consumer in D2C for Shopify for my MMA Nutrition brand, and spending the money, quote unquote, wasting the money. After 6 months of doing that, I decided to pull the plug. We were just losing money. I couldn't make it work. I think, Shopify and direct-to-consumer is a lot more difficult, but I learned a lot, and it really opened my eyes to analytics and what analytics I should be, looking at. So the power of analytics, and then the subheader is scaling and optimizing your way to Amazon success. This is going to be all about how I look at Amazon advertising. So most people, when I talk to them, are basically optimizing bids, launching campaigns without like a very clear goal and expectation of what to happen to the metrics. So I'm going to show you the metrics that I track. So why do we track analytics? Obviously, overview of the account performance, but I also like to see the week over week changes. So a lot of people look at changes day by day. I just had a client hit me up and said, the last 2 days our sales were great. What happened? And I said, I don't know. It's too early to tell. Attribution issues. It could just be that the demand was higher. There's more people coming to searching the keywords that day. So it's very important to have really clear analytics. And the most important part is identifying issues. So when I go and try and like help someone and they say, hey, like my ads are not working, I can't just go start looking at their campaigns, because it could be their click-through rate, it could be the conversion rate, it could be that they scaled and then their traffic didn't go up, like they spent more money, sessions didn't go up. Okay, maybe you spent more money on the wrong keywords. So all of that is captured in analytics. So what are the metrics to track? I like to track PPC spend. I don't really care that much about PPC sales. So I just put it up there because I know people will go crazy if I don't say I look at PPC sales. But I don't look at PPC sales because they're not accurate to me. I've tested it many times and they're just not accurate. But I look at total sales because that's true. That's the true number. I look at sessions, the number of people coming into your listing. I look at the cost per session. So, what's that cost for each person to come into the listing? Maybe I was spending $1 for one person to come into the listing. Now I'm spending $1.50. Why am I spending more? Or maybe I took over a brand and we were spending $1 for one person to come into the listing, and now we're spending 70 cents. So now we're more efficient with our ads. I look at PPC spend, PPC sales, total sales, session, cost per session. I look at clicks and click-through rate, conversion rate. Cost per click is nice to see if there's like cost per click is climbing. I want to know why. Are we just hammering the same keywords, spending more money, but not generating more revenue? ACOS and TACOS, I honestly don't look at all at, because a percentage of your revenue is not going to dictate whether you're doing good or bad. The total dollar amount in profit, this is the most important metric. That is what tells me if I'm doing good or bad. So every time someone comes to me and says, we can do whatever we want, our goal is 15% tacos. I say, okay, what if 15% tacos, you're doing $5,000 a month in profit, and at 18% tacos, you're doing $25,000 a month in profit? Who would take that deal? Yeah, exactly. So I said, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter if you spend a little bit more as a percent of your revenue, if it means more total dollar amount in profit. So that's the main metric. This is what guides everything. And when I do the scaling and optimizing, I'll tell you exactly how I think about total profit. This is a template that I can share with anyone if you want to do it manually. I also have an automated way of doing it, but this is kind of what it looks like when I'm tracking my analytics. I can see how my spend changes week over week. I can see how my sales change week over week. I can see how my sessions change week over week. And I see, okay, I spent 87% more on ads and I got 1.26% more sessions. Not a good use of my money, right? If I'm spending 87% more. I look at my click-through rate, conversion rate. Is that an issue? This is like sale price, Amazon fees, cost of goods. This is to calculate the profit before ads. And then when I subtract my PPC spend, I get the profit after ads. This is the most important thing that I'm tracking. If I'm scaling, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna spend more money on ads. I'm gonna launch more campaigns, increase bids, increase budgets, spend more money on ads. I expect that my sessions are gonna go up. Maybe my conversion rate is gonna go down because the traffic is not gonna be as qualified, right? I'm hoping it stays the same. I'm hoping my click-through rate doesn't go down. Hoping it stays the same. It might go down though, but I really hope that my total sales will go up. So I spend more money on ads, I drive more traffic, my total sales go up. And then obviously my expectation is, because when you're scaling, you're launching new campaigns, increasing bids, increasing budgets. Some of those keywords are not effective. You're testing them. So your profit might go down. So that's during the scaling phase, right? And I'm going to talk a lot more about like the levers that you can pull to scale, but I'm focused on one phase at a time. Because if you are focused on increasing spend and decreasing spend at the same time, you're not going to know what's happening. So when I'm looking at an account, I'm like, okay, what are we going to do this week? If this is the week, right? If this is the week, and I'm like, what am I going to do this week? Look at the PPC spend. It's $296. Question for the people who are good in math. What is the most amount of profit that you can make more by optimizing your ad spend? If you take this to zero and your sales stay the same, right? You can only make $296 more. So I evaluate this and I say, okay, obviously I want more than $296 more. So there's only one way to go. It's up. So I'm like, okay, we're gonna scale. So we're gonna focus on scaling. We're gonna focus on, and I'll talk about the stuff, increasing bids, increasing budgets, launching new campaigns, increasing bid by placement, whatever, all the actions that will result in more sessions coming to the listing and increasing our total sales. And I know that this profit amount is going to take a hit. But once we get there and we have more sessions, more people coming to the listing, some of them are going to be good, some of them are going to be bad. So I take the bad ones, lower the bids, add negatives, eliminate the bad stuff, and I'm left with just the good ones. So let's say that my spend goes up from 300 to 800, but 200 of that is not good. It goes down to 600, and my total sales, let's go say from 24 to 27,000, then go back down to 26,000. At the end of the day, the net effect on my profit is up, but it only happens by increasing and then cleaning up, increasing, cleaning up, and it looks like this: increase, clean up, increase, clean up, increase, clean up, and it goes on and on. So this is an automated way of tracking exactly what I showed you. We developed it with My Real Profit, and it's basically everything that I showed, but in an automated format. So we talked about the metrics that matter the most. Sessions is how much traffic are we driving to the listing. I don't see enough people talking about this metric, sessions, but how to know that your ads are working is that you're getting more sessions into the listing. And then cost per session is how effective is the money that you're spending on ads. The cost per session is divided into two portions, right? The first portion is paid, because sessions are both a combination of paid and organic sessions. Unfortunately, they don't break it up to us. And honestly, even if they did break it up to us, I wouldn't believe it, because they can't even tell us the PPC sales accurately, right? So I wouldn't believe anything that Amazon breaks between paid and organic. But I do know my total spend. That's obviously coming on my credit card. I do know my total traffics in sessions. So my cost per session is broken into two parts. The first part is paid. So to have a better cost per session, which is drive more people to my listing at a cheaper price. On the paid side, this is where you're launching more campaigns with a higher return on ad spend, or eliminating keywords and stuff like keywords and search terms that have spend and no sales, or spending with a low return on ad spend. The organic side of this is when you rank higher organically, more people are going to come into your listing, without you spending any money. So that the denominator in the cost per session, you get more sessions without the cost, which is the PPC spend going up, you end up having a lower cost per session. And then cost per acquisition is your true cost of advertising. Here's some math. Right? So cost per session is PPC spend divided by total number of sessions. 1 divided by conversion rate is number of sessions for one conversion. Cost per session times number of sessions for one conversion, cost per acquisition. Break-even conversion rate. This is another thing for all of you that are launching products right now. Break-even conversion rate is what the conversion rate needs to be for you to break even. And a lot of times people come in and I look at their analytics very quickly, and they're like, we're launching, is this product doing well in the launch? And I look at it and I see, okay, your break-even conversion rate is 5.2% and you're at a 2.9%, for example. Then I say, okay, I look at the cost per session. Cost per session looks normal to me. It's not like very high. And I say, okay, cool. All we need to do is bring your conversion rate up and you're going to start breaking even. Yes, we can lower the cost of advertising and the cost of traffic, but it's way more effective to just increase the conversion rate. So this is why I look at the break-even conversion rate. The cost per acquisition needs to equal your maximum amount of profit per unit for you to break even. So your break-even conversion rate is going to be your cost per session divided by the maximum amount of profit you have per unit. So your cost per session, let's say it's like $1.2, whatever. And then let's say like that other product, it was 180 maximum profit per unit. So you take that divided by that, and that will be what conversion rate you need to break even. And again, you should have goals on your conversion rate. Like it shouldn't be like, okay, the conversion rate is the conversion rate, especially when there's factors that influence the conversion rate, which is like your main image, your price, your reviews, the rest of your images, the videos on the listing, questions on the listing, A+ content, which reviews show up first, images in the reviews, Amazon post. All of these things are small and they all add up to improve your conversion rate. Okay, so now this is the kind of the final part of the presentation, which is scaling and optimizing. So when I look at advertising, I look at it in the two phases. One phase is scaling, the other phase is optimizing. When I'm looking at scaling, I'm looking at basically whatever my revenue is right now, I'm trying to get my revenue to the maximum amount. And this is based on like a loss in profit tolerance. So let's say I'm doing $5,000 a week in profit and I want to scale as much as possible. how much can I suffer in terms of the profit for the sake of scaling? Because obviously, like, think about it like this event, right? Avask, Gitita, they're doing this event. They don't know the outcome of this event. They don't know if they're going to break even. They don't know if they're going to make money or lose money. So this is like they're investing in learning. They're doing these like 10 of these events, but they will never know if it's going to be profitable or not until they do it. That's essentially our scaling phase. We're launching all of these campaigns. We're launching all of these new keywords. We don't know if they're going to convert or not convert after we spend the money. And not just after we spend some money, you have to probably spend a certain amount. For me, it's usually 30 to 50% of the revenue of one unit. So if you have a $30 product, it's usually $15 in spend before I can make a decision and say this keyword is bad or good. So I have to spend all of that money to then figure out, okay, half these were good, half of these were bad. Let's eliminate the bad ones. Now I have a certain number, half of whatever I launched that are generating sales profitably. So that's the first phase, scaling. I scale and then I say, okay, I'm spending like $300 a day. Let's go to 350. Let's go to 400. And I watch my profit go down. And I say, I'm doing 5,000 a week. I'm willing to go down to 2,000 a week and lose $3,000 a week in profit as long as I'm growing. And as long as I'm growing, I'm willing to spend that money. And then I hit a point, I'm like, okay, I've hit the $2,000 a week in profit. I can't go any lower. Let's keep holding the spend at that level. And then after a while, I've gotten all the data. I understand which keywords work and all that stuff. I eliminate everything that didn't work, keep only what worked. And now that's the optimization phase. Now I'm in a much better state because I was spending $500 a day. Now I'm spending like 700. I went from 500 to 1,000 back to 700, but that extra 200 is all very high ROAS keywords. It's all very profitable keywords. So in the scale, we're launching new campaigns, increasing bids, driving more traffic. Optimize is where we eliminate anything that didn't work. So metrics to monitor when you're scaling, spend more money on PPC. You want to make sure you're actually spending more money. And then you want to make sure that the sessions are also increasing and proportions matter. So remember, we spent 87% more and then got 1.67% more sessions. That's not good. But if we spent 80% more on PPC and got 40% more or even 35% more on sessions, that's fine. Sales increase, obviously, that's the whole goal. Cost per session, this is now what I'm anticipating is going to happen. I know that cost per session is probably going to go up because I'm not going to be as efficient with my money, right? Because I was efficient. Now I'm like, okay, let's test. And I know that some of this is not going to be efficient. My click-through rate, conversion rate will probably go down because some of that traffic is not going to be as good. By the way, when we launch campaigns, we're only increasing impressions. We're not necessarily increasing sessions. So we're only showing our product in the search results more by launching more campaigns. And now some of those new searches we're showing up in might not be as good in terms of click-through rate. So that might result in a click-through rate going down. Exact same thing with conversion rate. And I know that my profits are going to go down because I'm exploring, And then metrics to monitor when I'm optimizing, PPC spend is going to go down. Sessions will decrease, but it's not going to decrease as much as the spend will. Sales may decrease, probably, but it might not decrease as much because I improved my organic rank during the scaling phase. Cost per session should go down. If the cost per session is not, then you're cutting ad spend from the wrong things because you're just trying to be more efficient with your traffic, not decrease the traffic. Click-through rate and conversion rate should go back up because now you're only sending the better keywords that are converting better based on the data, and your profit, that's the number one thing, right? Profit goes up. Very, very important. The other one, sales go up, sessions go up, profit goes down. This one, spend goes down, sales might go down, profit goes up. That's what matters. So what are the levers that we can pull? This is like the actual actions that you take in your campaign manager. So when you're scaling, you can increase bids. So take certain keywords that are delivering like good results. So you find a keyword has a 5x ROAS, you increase the bid. You say, okay, you're showing up, and obviously, like, part of it is like check the sponsored rank. You don't want the sponsored rank to be 1, then you increase the bid. But if the sponsored rank, let's say, is 18, you increase the bid. Now the sponsored rank is 13, whatever, and more people are seeing it, and you know that it was performing well. So you're hoping that it drives more traffic at a similar and good performance. Increasing budgets. This not always works, but giving your campaigns more budget and more breathing room sometimes results in more people, more clicks and more sales. Bid by placement. This is where you go into your campaigns. You can either do it in the bulk sheets or you can go into each campaign. On the left, there's 3 main placements, 2 that we can control, which is top of the search, first page, product detail pages, and then the one we can control is rest of the search, which is everything that's not the top of the search. So if you find that campaign had a better click-through rate, better ROAS, better conversion rate at the top of the search first page than it did at the rest of the search, you could increase the bid by placement, let's say by 20%, which means my bid is $1 right now, for example. I'm willing to spend 20% more if you're going to show me at the top of the search first page, because based on the data, I convert better there. So that's another thing that you can control. Launching new campaigns with search terms that we don't already have, search terms that have shown to convert profitably in the past, and then launching sponsored brands, sponsored display, sponsored video, other placements in areas where sponsored product and maybe organic is pretty low. So let's say there's a certain keyword, electrolyte supplement for women, sponsored rank is low, organic rank is low. You can launch a sponsored video of your product showcasing a woman, and that might drive some more traffic. And then the optimization phase is a lot easier. All you have to do is lower the bids on the things that didn't convert, basically low ROAS or spent money and didn't make any sales. Pause keywords that didn't convert. So like maybe, you've lowered the bids a bunch of times, it didn't work, so now you just pause them. So auto broaden phrase, it's not as easy as just lowering the bids, because let's say a broad keyword could be 50 different keywords. So maybe 30 of those keywords are good, 20 of those keywords are bad. If you pause the bad ones, you end up with just the good ones. So that's adding negatives. And then one thing I didn't mention is the opposite of this. So if you increase the bid by placement because you thought it was going to do well and it didn't do well, you can bring it back down. Amazon PPC optimization happens through bulk sheet, which is where you do the bid optimization. This is where you can lower the bids. You can also adjust the budgets. So campaign budgets, you can adjust them in the bulk sheet. You can also adjust the placements in the bulk sheet. However, in the placement report is where it shows a lot of data. So sometimes you need to have the placement report open and then the bulk sheet to implement the changes. And then search term report, that's where you find all of the keywords that either converted profitably or didn't convert profitably or spent money and didn't make sales. And you can either launch them in new campaigns or add them as negatives. So yeah, it looks something like this. Bulk sheet, if the ACOS is low, increase the bid. Or if you're doing optimization, the ACOS is high, decrease the bid. If you're doing optimization, clicks and no sales, decrease the bid. Low impressions, increase the bid if you're scaling. Search term report, profitable search terms, launch them if you're scaling. Non-profitable search terms, add them as negatives if you're optimizing. Irrelevant search terms, always negative them. Placement report, we talked about this. If the placement is doing well, increase a certain bid by placement. Vice versa if you're optimizing. And then increase budgets for campaigns that are doing well. That's it. That's it for me. If you want a free audit, happy to look at your campaigns.